Stop.
These videos are not for children. If you are a children, then piss off.
Hey there, I'm Infuso. And let me be real with you, if you don't like the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I genuinely don't know if I can trust you. Or at the very least, your opinions on things. Every character on this show is absolutely awful in the most wonderful kind of way. Dennis, Charlie, Mac, Frank, Dee are all equally some of the most horrendous human beings that have ever been conjured up by the human mind. Possibly the worst, in terms of morality at least. The worst leading characters ever put on a television screen. Seriously, these guys make Seinfeld look like absolute child's play. They're all equally terrible characters. And if they were real people, then they would have been canceled 10 times over. I mean, together as a group, they've exploited welfare and unemployment, wore blackface in their fan-made Lethal Weapon sequels, broke into a family's house and tried to steal from them, broke into another family's house and took them hostage at gunpoint, encouraged underage drinking in their bar, kidnapped a newspaper critic and his neighbor, blew up a dude's van, blew up a competing bar, once tried to cannibalize a guy, intentionally tried to trigger a war veteran's PTSD, impersonated police officers in order to reap the benefits, impersonated crippled people in order to reap the benefits, locked a group of people in a burning apartment. And don't even get me started on the unspeakable things they did to Riggedy Cricket. He was a man of God before he fell into their shenanigans. Poor guy. It was a long fall from grace, and that guy hasn't even hit the bottom yet. And that's just off the top of my head. That's just what I'm thinking of now. They've done worse. There's much, much more. And you know what? That's not even half of it. That's some of it. There's so much more that they've done. But it seems like this group, while horrible together, are equally awful apart. Charlie has openly stalked a woman for well over a decade, despite her constantly asking him to leave her alone, and he's also used multiple women in an attempt to make her jealous, intentionally breaking one's heart and even mocking her for it. Dennis is a complete sociopath, barely feeling anything at all.
This is crazy, but I'm having feelings again. Like some kind of 14-year-old kid or something. I mean, you remember feelings, right? Are you saying you don't have feelings?
He's point blank probably a rape dapist. He carries zip ties in the back of his car. He tricks women into sleeping with him. He intimidates women into sleeping with him. So just overall, at the very least, he's just the sleaziest person you'd ever have the misfortune of meeting. And he may or may not have killed his ex-wife. By the way, did I mention that this is a sitcom? Mac, for the most part, is a Bible-thumping, gay-hating, closeted gay man. But since finally coming to terms with his sexuality and coming out of the closet, he continues to try and trick Dennis into sleeping with him, showing that even with character development, he is still truly terrible. Frank is a behind-the-times racist, sexist, and pretty much every other ist you could be. He's a senile old man who just wants to get real weird with it. This man has no boundaries, and no need for any sort of hygiene. And though she's called Sweet Dee, Dee ain't so sweet. She's bullied various men into having sex with her. She practically even raped Charlie. She tricked a man into stripping in front of his daughter as revenge. She secretly schemes to have Frank and her brother killed in order to inherit their riches. Oh yeah, and at some point in life, she may have burned down her old roommate's place and got herself institutionalized. Again, that's just off the top of my head. However, it wasn't always that way. Dee wasn't always the verbally, emotionally, and mentally abusive nutcase obsessed with furthering her non-existent acting career. As a matter of fact, once upon a time, she was actually pretty normal. If you're an avid It's Always Sunny in Philly fan, you may have noticed that Dee experienced a deep descent into madness. A complete downfall, if you will. Because in the early days of It's Always Sunny, Dee was actually positioned as the voice of reason. She was Alice in a strange wonderland where everyone else was absolutely mad. Her whole purpose on the show initially was to be the one normal person trapped in a circus. What's that? What's this? What the hell are these clowns up to? Her character was the weight that would ground the rest of the series' leads. But this also made her character incredibly dull. Being the straight man in a cast of comics doesn't exactly make for must-see TV.
The straight man is a stock character in a comedy performance, especially a double act, sketch comedy, or farce. When a comedy partner behaves eccentrically, the straight man is expected to maintain composure. The ability to maintain a serious demeanor in the face of even the most preposterous comedy is crucial to a successful straight man. Whatever direct contribution to the comedy a straight man provides usually comes in the form of deadpan. A straight man with no direct comedic role has historically been known as a stooge. Typically he is expected to feed the funny man lines that he can respond to for laughs, while seeking no acclamation for himself.
Now, I think the straight man routine does work. As a matter of fact, in a series that I myself created, which ironically enough was often compared to It's Always Sunny, I want to say right now, I'm not the one comparing it. It is definitely nowhere near as good, and that's why it has been swept from the internet. You will never see this. But the straight man does have some merit. I played the straight man in my own series. And your whole purpose of being there is really just to amplify everyone else around you. But the thing is that there was only 2 other comic characters beside me. Whereas in this case, pretty much everybody else beside her was the comic character. She was the only one tasked with being unfunny. Now, the reason the Dee character was positioned as the straight man of the show could be because of a couple reasons. Maybe they felt like it'd be a good idea for a female to be the voice of reason. After all, women do mature quicker than men. And studies show that they may be more No, I'm sorry. No, I'm just screwing with you. It's probably because they had no idea what to do with her. I love It's Always Sunny. It's honestly in my top 3 favorite TV shows of all time. Where exactly, I couldn't tell you because it switches from day to day. My point is, I love the show. But if I'm being honest here, I think to some extent when they were first starting off, they didn't really know entirely what they were doing. This was the first time Rob, the actor who plays Mac, and also the show creator, had ever put a show together. And I think to some degree he was throwing whatever he could at the wall and seeing what stuck. He had a vision, but it wasn't fully fleshed out just yet. I think he wanted Dee in the show just to have a female lead. The greatest evidence of this would be that when they brought in actresses to read for the part, they didn't have anything written for the Dee character just yet. So instead, they made the actresses just read a scene between Dennis and Charlie from the pilot episode.
We can talk about this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it started, I wasn't feeling so good, and then I got a sore throat.
Oh, I'm sorry, Charlie. Did you want to talk about that right now?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, talk. We can always talk.
All right, so it starts out, I'm not feeling good. I'm having headaches and...
Did you want to talk, like, right now?
Now granted, Rob clearly wanted a woman with comedic timing, but he wasn't at the time writing anything that showcased that. Eventually, Caitlin Olsen showed up and wowed the cast.
Did you think that was good? Tell me I'm good. Tell me it was good. Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm good. Tell me that was good. Tell me.
Well, that was a funny way, bitch, wasn't it?
Who convinced her to join the show, even though she was at first reluctant. After the first season wrapped, Dee's actress Caitlin Olsen actually confronted her future husband and series creator Rob McEnley. If I'm saying his name wrong, I'm sorry, I am not smart. She confronted him on the situation, saying she didn't understand her place in the show. It just seemed like her only job was to come in and tell the boys to stop having fun. And for the first season of the show, it's kind of spot on. That's really all she did. After that conversation, a creative decision was made to make Dee just as awful as the rest of the cast.
To new beginnings.
And I think what I like the most about this is that it wasn't an overnight shift in character. At the start of Season 2, Dee slowly begins to get more and more ludicrous as time goes on. She does seem a little bit grounded at first, but you could slowly see her beginning to float away. A combination of being around the gang constantly, and being involved in the situations that she's put in because of them, makes her fall into the rest of the flock. In hindsight, I think in the overall grand scheme of the show, this actually fits really well within its canon. The gang has been shown to be so bad that they actually actively corrupt those they come in contact with. They make those around them's lives that much worse and manage to make everybody sink to their level. The Ponderosas, Cricket, Dee. Due to this change, in the continuity of the show, Dee was a normal human being, but her overexposure to the gang's indecency and overall stupidity made her every bit as bad as the rest of them. I mean, honestly, with the Dee character, she's truly aged like fine milk. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, there's no doubt that Dee is every bit as bad as those she shares a bar with. She fits in a lot better than she did before. And this version of the character feels so much more natural than her original incarnation. I don't know, crazy, wacky, unself-aware Dee feels very real. Whereas when I was watching the first season, I'm very, very aware that that's just Caitlin Olsen reading lines. She just seems to be a lot less enthusiastic with what she's doing. In my opinion, this was the right call, because I can't imagine a character whose sole purpose was to wag her finger at all the leads, sticking around for 14 seasons of the show. I don't think it really would have been good for the series as a constant. Hell, after the first couple episodes, it seemed like she already wore out her welcome. Without that change, we wouldn't have these iconic D moments.
You listen to me. All hair is technically dead, you stupid idiot, smarty pants, stupid idiot. You better watch yourself, Samantha. Do you hear me? God damn you, Cricket! God damn you! It's not about you! Listen, I'm gonna pick up the guys, then I'm gonna drop you off at the hospital. It's gonna take 2 seconds, okay? Is that okay, Cricket? With you? Huh? Go! Oh, God, you sons of bitches! Oh, God damn it! Sons of bitches! Oh, you goddamn sons of bitches! I'm going to destroy everything! Sons of bitches! You're gonna pay! You're all gonna pay! I'll kill you! You asshole!
And what a waste of Caitlin Olsen's talent would that be? It's strange to think of what might have been, but then again, who would even want to? The change in Dee's character not only bettered the character itself, but the show as a whole. And I'd really hate to think of where it would be without it. And regardless of all that I said, whether you agree with me, whether you don't, whether you like it, whether you don't, I think we all can come together in unison. I think we can all come together in complete agreement when I say that Dee's a bird.
You look like a turkey. You look like an ostrich. Yes!
I want to call her an emu, but I want to save it for,
I say, you like a big, fat, flightless bird.
I'm the clown prince of crime, and that was the prince of personality, the Infuso. Or so he says. So if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too want to become a V-tard, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the man on Twitter, because it's not stalking if it's on the internet after all. Join the fun by joining the Discord. If for some strange reason you want to show support, and I don't know why you would, and if you have $1 to spare, head over to the SIJW's Patreon, where you can request videos, get exclusive content, and early access to scheduled videos. Or head to his PayPal, where you can buy the shirts. Oh, aren't those lovely? And just remember, if you're not tuning in, you're missing out. Yeah.